welcome to the Fantasy Football Last Call Podcast, Week 1 edition 2020. It's finally here, my friends. And also with me, my name's Joe Bond. With me is Dave Eddy, primarily a baseball writer here at Fantasy Six Pack. He does our glorious Dynasty rankings and a podcast himself over there for that. He also does some DFS stuff, so he's here to drop some DFS knowledge on us after as we do some Week 1 recap here. How's it going, Dave?
That's going good, Joe, man. Good to be back. Glad that football's going. Glad that my Lions are back to usual.
Dude, I thought we were going to talk some good news for once with the Lions. I was like, oh, man, it's going to be like a positive day for the Lions for once. What's gotten into them? And then they choked it away. I was like, oh, okay. So it'll be back to normal. Stinks. I'm sorry, man. Not gonna laugh at you, but I was just like, yeah, all right, it'll be like last year. So cool.
You can laugh all you want, man. That's all I did.
I'm sorry. All right. Well, so for those of you who are new to the show, what we're gonna do here real quick, we're at the halftime of the Sunday Night Football game. We're gonna try to get through this as quick as possible. We'll probably overlap into the third quarter a little. But what we're going to do here is quickly run through all the Sunday games and give a quick little note on each one, and then just move on to the next one. So let's start here with our first show on the docket that I have written down, and it is the Seahawks and Falcons. The Seahawks took down the Falcons 38-25. The Seahawks were in control of this game from start to finish, man. Like, the Falcons put up some garbage time points, but, Russell Wilson, 31 for 35, 322, and 4 touchdowns. The good news for the Falcons is that the garbage time worked. Matt Ryan for over 450 passing yards, 3 receivers over 100 yards. The big one is Ridley with the 2 touchdowns. The note here I've got here, the takeaway that I've got, and you can comment here if you want, is the split between the backs. This could have been because it was a little out of hand, but Carson scored twice in the passing game, which was really good to see, but he got actually out-carried by Hyde. What's your take on that?
I wouldn't make a whole lot of it. I think Carson is, going to be the guy there unless he gets hurt. I guess be happy you got 2 receiving touchdowns from him. You definitely didn't plan on that. Yeah. And I think you got what you expect from the Falcons. They get behind, and Ryan throws the ball all over the place, and Julio and Ridley, get a bunch of yards. So yeah, I'd say that's about what you expect out of that game.
Yeah, I was happy to see him involved in the passing game. They've been talking about all offseason that they want to get him more involved, so I was glad to actually see it happen. I hope it continues. Next game here, Bills and Jets. Bills take down the Jets 27-17. It was close there at the, in the, I think, early fourth quarter, but this game seemed like it was pretty well in hand by the Bills for the most part. They got out to a big 14-point lead. Josh Allen led the way, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, 56 rushing yards, and a touch. So kind of exactly what you're getting, hoping from him. Crowder, big game, 7 for 115 and a touch. One of those with a big 69-yard catch and run. It was like a little dump off pass. And he just squirted in between 3 or 4 guys. He should have been tackled, honestly. It does a couple of missed tackles. But yeah, he took it off to the house. My note here is that, again, the workload split between the backs, and the Bills is one that was an interesting story coming into the whole year. So we had Singletary and we had Moss, and it was basically a 50-50 split here between these two, even in the passing game. So that was not exactly what I thought it was going to be close, but I still thought Singletary was going to get the overall, touch, lead the way in touches total because of the passing work, but it didn't work out that way. Are you just avoiding this backfield altogether, especially from a DFS standpoint?
DFS-wise, yeah, I would say so. Until they've got more clearly defined and I think established roles, it's probably the wise thing to do. I completely agree with what you said. I expect Singletary to get, more of the workload and, Moss, goal line or, get his touches as he gets them. But I guess we'll just have to monitor that one and see how it continues to play out.
Yeah, and then just last note here is, Allen fumbled twice, so that's a hopefully that does not continue because he's got to keep that ball in the controller. They're going to tell him to stop running, which is not good for fantasy owners. Next game up, Bears and Lions, and we already kind of prefaced this one. Yeah, Dave's just drinking. Bears came back on this one. It looked like the Lions had it, man. I think they were up, 20 to – what were they up, 20 to 7?
Let's see. They were up 17 going into the 4, so they're up 23-6. They had a 93% chance to win.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, man.
Not that I was keeping track.
So, yeah, Bears take him down 27-23. Anthony Miller for the Bears, the big, fantastic game-winning touchdown catch, 4 for 76 and a touch. On the Lions side, honestly, Stafford, nobody really looked good. Probably the most interesting story was the backfield here. AP, 14 carries for 93 yards. He looked fantastic. Swift only got 3, did get 3 receptions for 15 yards, dropped the game-winning touchdown, though. Ugh, not good. Did. And Kerryon was basically non-existent. So don't even worry about him. My story line out of this game was this: Stafford struggled, 24 for 42. I know the Bears have a decent defense, but I don't think they're as good as they were 2-3 years ago. So I'm really shocked that it wasn't better than that. Maybe it was just Galladay being gone, and I don't think Jones is ever going to be a 1. I know people were all over him, and I kind of was too coming into today, but I didn't start him in DFS or anything, but on all my lineups that I had him on the fence, I just plugged him right in, didn't even think twice about it. Did not work out. The other news is I don't think you can use Swift until you see his usage improve drastically. I think you might have to just hold him for a couple of weeks, but it might be a case where we've got Miles Sanders last year where you might just have to hold him until this coaching staff really starts trusting him. What do you think?
Oh man, I could talk all day here. AP definitely looked the best by a mile. I think Swift is definitely still battling, some injuries. So he didn't look good. Dropping the touchdown pass at the end of the game aside, he scored a touchdown, at the goal line, but it was AP, and he was by far the most effective runner. I guess until you start to see, if we're talking Swift specifically, until you start to actually see him lead that backfield, which probably isn't going to happen.
Not for a while.
I don't know that that'll happen this year. Theoretically, they've got 3 decent running backs. I don't see any one of them, jumping out and leading the way, barring injury. Just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I took one chance on Swift in a league. Of course, it was before they signed AP, but it's looking like a bad call. So Packers and Vikings, the big score of the day, 43 Packers, Vikings 34. Wow. Rodgers came out firing, dude. 32 for 44, 364, 4 touchdowns. Adams, by the way, 14 catches for 156 and 2. That's just incredible. Thielen, garbage time. This game, the Packers had it, and the Vikings were just chucking it late, and it was working. Thielen, garbage time, finished with 6 catches, 110 and 2. So good day overall from your Vikings players if you had them. But not a good game overall from them if you're just looking NFL standpoint. But yeah, again, Rodgers on a mission, it appeared. We had a lot of talk about this last season, where it was every week it felt like, where's Rodgers? Where's Rodgers? Where's Rodgers? And then boom, oh, there's Rodgers. And then it was, where's Rodgers? Where's Rodgers? Where's Rodgers? Is this going to be oh, there he is, and then next week and next week and next week? I don't know if I trust it yet, man. I think this offense still wants to run a lot. They want to ball control. But Rodgers just felt like today he was just nah. He was taking some chances that he wasn't taking last year downfield, which was different. Should we be bumping him up, or is this a case of I need to see more of it?
I think that this is just kind of a weird game, especially, with no preseason or anything like that. And then you add in that it's a divisional game. Usually, that's a recipe for, 13-10, not, 43-34. Right. So that was surprising. Obviously, Devontae Adams is just a beast. So, it doesn't surprise me, for him to have a big day like that. And I think that a lot of people are still in the mindset that the Vikings have an elite defense and are good against the pass, and that's not who they are anymore. So I would say, at this point, I'm going to chalk it up to he had a good week, and I'm going to wait to see how the next 2-3 weeks play out before I can actually say
he's back,
one way or the other on him. Yeah, but I would chalk it as a blip on the radar for now.
I'll take blame for this game for anybody facing Aaron Rodgers in the Fantasy Six-Pack Staff and Friends League that we've been going on. It's the same crew for like the last 8 years. My buddy who actually started this site with took Aaron Rodgers as like QB6, and we were all, and I was like the biggest voice in the room. We were all like, "What in the hell?" And he's like, "What? It's Aaron Rodgers." And I was like, "You're just drafting a name at this point. Like, do you realize how bad he was last year?" And we went through all this stuff, and he's like, "You watch." And of course, I drafted Josh Allen. He's like, "You watch. Rodgers gonna have a better year than Josh Allen." And I was like, "Okay." So of course I'm playing that dude in week 1, and Rodgers goes off. So my bad. That was all my fault. So moving on, Dolphins and Patriots. Dolphins lose 11-21. Quite the odd score. I got nothing for the Dolphins, man. It was bad. I mean, Fitzpatrick threw three interceptions. It was bad. Parker got hurt. Not good. So nothing for them. Cam Newton, really, honestly, not awesome. I mean, you luckily got the rushing out of him because 155 yards passing, 75 rushing with the 2 touchdowns, so saved your butt. New England won without Tom, but they didn't play very well. I mean, are you impressed with them?
I mean, honestly, a little bit, I guess. I mean, the Dolphins usually play them pretty tough, so you could have definitely seen them losing that game. Cam wasn't spectacular, but he didn't have a full off season. He definitely didn't have any preseason work. He's in a brand new offense. So I think that the fact that he got 75 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground is actually quite encouraging. That would have been the spot where I would be most concerned about him. To be
I'm
honest,
actually kind of worried that he did run so much because he's coming off that shoulder.
Yeah, that's
I was kind of hoping he
would
would dump it down to James White a lot more. James White did not get used at all, which was like, he was the one New England player, him and Edelman, because I thought Edelman was safe. And Edelman did okay, but White was the only running back I wanted out of that whole backfield that I was like, you know what, he's going to get his. He's going to get his 5-6 check downs. Cam loved checking it down to McCaffrey, so why won't he like checking it down to White? Not that White's on the same level at all. But, I mean, that's what he does. So, but apparently I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not dropping White, but he's on my watch list. Let's put it that way. Next is Eagles and Washington football team. Shocker finish here. Eagles jump up 14-0 early. Washington storms back, outscores them 27-3 the rest of the way to win 27-17. Goddard was the big standout for the Eagles, 8 for 101 and 1. There wasn't a lot to like on the Washington offense. I guess the story to come out of it is Barber had 17 carries, only 29 yards, so it's not good, but he got in the end zone twice, so he's a goal line guy, right? So there's at least that. The other storyline is Wentz struggled after a hot start. I mean, Washington sacked him 8 times, and I know there's been a lot of talk about how good that front is going to be for Washington, especially with Chase Young and 7 first-round players for that Washington defense, and most of them are linebackers and D linemen. So it's a pretty stout front 7 if they all play up to their potential. So I got to ask you, though, I mean, is it more the fact that Washington's front is good on defense, or was it the fact that the Eagles they were playing like a backup offensive line pretty much all across?
I mean, it's kind of a cop-out to say that it's a little bit of both, but I think it really is. If anything, I would probably lean a little bit more towards that Washington defense just because they are so formidable. But, the Eagles, aren't the greatest offensive juggernaut to begin with. And then you take Miles Sanders out, and, that makes a big difference. Boston Scott didn't do hardly anything, at least compared to what, we thought he might have been able to do. And, their two targets are tight ends. And I'm not saying that Ertz and Goddard aren't, very good, but they don't have like an actual receiver really to throw the ball to. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to chalk it up more towards Washington having, a very, very solid defense, but the Eagles aren't anything offensively to write home about at this point either.
Yeah, they need to get healthy. Missing Miles Sanders today, that didn't help. So we'll see. Wentz made it happen last year with a whole lot of nothing around him. So, riding Goddard and Ertz. So he's going to have to do it again. Next game, Raiders and Panthers, another high-scoring game. Raiders took this one 34-30 on the road. Jacobs, a monster game, and we were talking about this earlier. I'm mad at myself for not putting him in my DFS lineup. I probably would have done. I would have cashed 100% if I had put him in. Just missed, unfortunately. Jacobs, though, 25 rushes, 93 for 3. The other good news for him is he caught 4 for 46. And I know they're talking he's going to catch 60 passes. That's not quite on pace for 60, but hey, that's a lot better than he was doing last year. So you are happy to see that. Panthers on the other side, obviously McCaffrey, 23 for 96, 3 for 38. I mean, both just monster players. I mean, you're not worried about CMC at all. You would like to see CMC get a little more involved in the passing game, but you're really gonna, you're liking what you saw here. You're not gonna be benching either one anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, back to that Jacobs train there. I mean, how happy are you to see him involved in the passing game? I mean, I really moved him up my draft board for redraft leagues after they traded Bowden, because I was worried that he was going to get involved a little too much from that backfield and take away what they said they were going to get the Jacobs. But what's your thought?
Well, my first thought is, I know I'm not hip on this new math, but if my old math serves me correct, I think 4 catches would be on pace for 64 catches for the year. So that would be over 60. Times. But what do I know? I'm just old. But either way, I don't know.
You're right. I can't. Yeah, it's late.
I guess I suppose like with drinking, just about everything.
I blame it on you.
but I think with just about anything that we're going to talk about, it's still just week 1. There was no preseason, like I said. We're not going to know for a couple weeks if we're looking at outliers or if we're looking at trends. So yeah, it's very encouraging for him to get basically 100 yards, get in the end zone 3 times, and then you throw in he starts catching the ball. I mean, that takes him to a whole different level. And if we're being fair, outside of Waller, there really isn't a whole lot more on that offense. So if they are going to be behind a lot he's going to have to catch balls if he's going to be week in and week out, an elite guy.
Yeah, I mean, I like the rookies, and Ruggs looked pretty good. Edwards didn't do much. Aguilar caught a touchdown. Big whoop. But yeah, this is going to be the Jacob show for sure. So you're loving it.
They just can't get behind. They can't get behind big. That's what killed them last year.
Yeah.
So that's the encouraging part of him catching 4 balls is if he's able to add that to his game, that kind of puts him in a new territory.
Exactly. Next game here, we got Colts at Jags. Jaguars took it down. Another surprising finish, 27-20 after they traded all those players. You thought they were dead in the water. On the Colts side, we had the Marlon Mack injury, but Hines was involved early and often, man. 7 for 28 and a touchdown rushing. Caught 8 for 45 and another touchdown. Both touchdowns were pretty early, but I mean, he was even in there before Mac got injured, so that's something to keep an eye on. But it looks like Mac might be done for the year. They're calling it maybe an Achilles. I have not looked up the update since this early afternoon, so I apologize for that. On the Jaguar side, not really much to ride, to care about. I mean, Shark got a touchdown. Minshew was okay. Chenault scored, but everybody was wondering, like, what's his backfield going to look like? James Robinson rushed 16 times for 62 yards. Not bad, but it's not gonna make you want to start him anytime soon. But what's your thought on this backfield, though? Now that Mac might be out, I mean, is it going to be Hines with Jonathan Taylor, or is it going to be Taylor with Hines?
It's hard to say, man. Like, I mean, we know that traditionally, Wisconsin running backs take a pounding and, they don't pan out at, the NFL level. And, the fact that, Hines would get, more run right off the bat doesn't surprise me. It is obviously Taylor's first game, but if he's going to start off hot, then there's really no reason to go to Taylor, any more than they have to. So Mac being out, obviously, fantasy wise, if he does miss time, that really starts to clear things up a little bit. Yeah. But I would have to imagine it's going to be, more Hines than Taylor until, Taylor kind of, earns those extra touches.
Yeah. I tend to agree here. So, few last games here. Browns and Ravens, the last of the early afternoon games. Ravens roughed them up, man. 38-6. This game was never in question. Lamar came out hot, firing on all cylinders. 20 for 25, 275 yards. A couple touchdown passes, 3 touchdown passes. I wrote that down. And he ran 7 times for 45 yards as well. Didn't get in the end zone, but you're definitely happy there with what you got from him. On the other side of the ball, Baker looked terrible. Odell looked terrible, thanks to Baker mostly, but Odell was dropping some passes as well. The rushing attack, interesting. Hunt, 13 for 72, 4 for 9 catching. Chubb, 10 for 60 rushing, 1 for 6 in the passing department. So Hunt out-touched Chubb. This was a theme at the end of last season once Hunt was back. I mean, Xavier, yeah, you're asking the question right now, man, on YouTube. The exact question should we be worried about Chubb, man? Look, I was kind of down on him more than most. He was still a mid-second round pick for me, but some people had him early second round, even first round at some points. But I was worried, man. I saw the stats at the end of last year, and I was dropping him in my rankings, and I was kind of like, every time I had to choose between him and one other player, I always chose the other player in drafts because I just didn't like what I saw at the end of last year. We're seeing more of it here. I mean, is this just because the Browns got down, or is this because this is what the Browns want to do?
I would say it's more, them being down 24-6 at the half. And, I mean, Hunt obviously can do it all. And if you're behind, you're going to have Hunt in there more often because, he's a better pass catcher. Well, you're not going to completely abandon the run. So that's going to, have Hunt in the game more often. And then he can still carry the ball. I mean, it's not like Chubb had a bad game. He's still,
6 yards
60 yards on 10 carries.
Phenomenal.
So it's not like he went 10 for 12. So I think it's more game script than anything.
Problem is that might be the game script a lot.
It could be. I mean, and a lot of that's going to depend on Baker, obviously.
Yeah,
but
Baker's got to get that together,
man.
He was throwing some pretty horrible passes, and you could tell Odell was getting frustrated. That doesn't help things. Odell always gets frustrated, but yeah, I mean, I'm not dumping Chubb. Maybe if somebody wants to pay me even value for Chubb, for somebody who could do, draft value wise, maybe I'll swap him. Like I said, I wasn't really on him anyway, but at this point, I don't know what you're gonna get for him. So I think you have to hold and just hope that they have better game scripts than today. Obviously, the Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL. They're going to do this to a lot of teams. So, excuse me. The one thing I will say, and I didn't write down the note, is it was very interesting to see how involved J.K. Dobbins was in this offense. I really didn't expect that this early in the year. Ingram did not look good. Look, Dobbins didn't really do all that well, like just running the ball, but he got the goal line work. He got the red zone work. So that's kind of worrisome for Ingram owners. So just keep that in mind going forward. First of our late afternoon games, Chargers and Bengals. Chargers take it down 16-13. And my boy Tyrod, go Hokies, figures it out. Eckler, 19 for 84, a lot of rushing attempts. 1 for 3 in the air, though. Only 1 target, so that's not, I don't know, man. That's kind of not something you were hoping to see. You like to get him involved in that passing game a lot. Joe Burrow, 23 for 36, 193, interception, ran the ball 8 times for 46 and a touchdown. So not shabby, not too shabby for the rookie without a preseason. I thought it'd be kind of a rough game for him, but he did okay. Almost got him the win. They were really, really close there. I mean, Burrow and the return of the AJ Green, it's made him more interesting. But like, I don't know, like what do we really take from either one of these teams? Like, what's your take on this game?
I mean, I think that, Cincinnati is going to be a little bit better than we expect, but obviously not great. And I think that the Chargers are probably going to be a little bit worse than we expect. And so I think that's what you saw here. I mean, if you think about it, the Cincinnati, has actually got a pretty good offense when you add Burrow to the mix, and then you basically add AJ Green as well. I mean, that's two pretty solid pieces, that you're adding. And then, Joe Mixon is already one of the more underrated backs in the league. So I don't think offensively they're gonna struggle for long. It's gonna take Burrow a little while, to get his feet under his. He didn't again.
Look, the Chargers have a good defense. I will say that. That's one thing the Chargers have is a good defense. So this was a tough opening matchup for the rookie.
Sure.
So hopefully, he'll get some easier matchups here soon. He'll get the Browns. So.
Yeah, but I think what we saw today is kind of going to be indicative of what you're going to see a lot of. Burrow and that offense are going to be better than you expect, but they're not going to be, super consistent and reliable.
No, that's unfortunate. So, next game here, Bucs at Saints, the big matchup of the week. Everybody want to see Mr. Tommy Brady in Tampa Bay here, facing off against Drew Brees and the Saints, and Drew Brees and the Saints had the better day, man. I'm not too shocked, honestly. Brady did finish 23 for 36 with 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and of course got his random rushing touchdown that he gets from the goal line. There's a little quick snap. Saw it happen. So Saints side of the ball, Kamara. I mean, look, productive fantasy day, but I don't know if you can really call it a productive day in general. I mean, 12 rushes for 16 yards, got the touch, 5 catches for 51 in the touch. Okay, you'll take that. Was out. The rushing attempts were in favor of Latavius Murray. You got to get that rushing yards per carry up for Kamara to see more rushing yards or rushing attempts. Sorry, otherwise you're going to see Murray, I think, take this backfield. At least that way. Kamara's going to get involved for sure. He's going to get his, 16 to 18 touches a game just because he's involved with the passing game so much more. But you'd like to see his yards per attempt go up a lot. So, I mean, was this game just a matter of Brady and company needing more time together, Evans being out and obviously not 100%? I think he caught one pass in the fourth quarter, first pass, obviously with a touchdown. So, fine, you'll take it if you had to start him. But, is it just they just need some more time to gel and be healthy together? I mean, they got Fournette possibly getting involved, which he was like nothing today. So, I mean, I don't know what to think with his offense.
Well, I mean, again, a broken record here. It's week 1. They're gonna play at least one more time this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them, match up in the playoffs sometime either. But you would expect that the game goes something similar to this. Maybe the Saints don't get out to, such an early lead big, and I doubt Brady's gonna throw 2 picks again. So it's probably going to, get a little, closer. But yeah, I would expect that, what you saw from the Saints today is probably pretty indicative of what you would expect to see going forward. Thomas is going to do better, obviously. Kamara should do better, as far as, on the ground. And then you should see Brady be more efficient. But, putting these two teams together, it is two of the upper echelon teams of the NFC, and that Saints defense really does get slept on quite a bit. And so does that Bucs defense a little bit too, especially against the run. So to see Kamara struggle there isn't a big surprise. Yeah. I think that game really kind of plays out about the way you would expect it to. It'll be interesting when they play again, to see how Brady and that offense looks.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So last game here we're going to cover is the Cardinals at the 49ers, the defending NFC champions here. The Cardinals played them tough twice last year, which was a big shocker. I kind of expected them to be okay again, but maybe the 49ers not take them as a joke. The opposite happened. 49ers lose 20-24. So the Cardinals got them, man. Murray, 26 for 40, not super efficient. 230 yards and a touchdown and an interception. Ran 13 times for 91 yards and a touchdown as well. So great fantasy day overall from him. Mostert on the other side of the ball was the big producer there for the 49ers. 15 times rushing the ball. 56 yards, caught 4 for 95 and a touch. I believe one was like a big play. I don't remember how many yards. I remember seeing the replay of it, though, and thinking like, oh, man. I definitely told somebody to bench him over, I forget who, but I feel bad for that one now. It's hard with like one play bust it for the guy. Otherwise, like I just didn't like it because you just never know with this 49er backfield. We talked about it in the NFC West preview show on the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour, AJ and I. With Ryan Hallam from Fantasy Alarm, and he's a big 49ers fan. He's just like, I never target the 49er backfield because you never know. If you're going to get anybody, get the last guy and just hope. And so McKinnon, it was that last guy this year, and he looked okay. He got involved. So it'll be interesting for me to see how they're going to incorporate, and this backfield will evolve over the year, because we always see it change during the year with Shanahan and this 49er offense. So that's the storyline I'm trying to follow here. Xavier's asking, is Mostert better than Eckler? Ooh,
no.
I don't think he's better, but
Eckler's in a better situation. I mean, let's put it that way. I mean,
Eckler
if you were to swap roles, and you might get a different answer. But I mean, give me Eckler because of his situation.
Yeah, you get rid of that, Xavier. You get rid of that. I forget. It was at least like a 40-yard touchdown catch and run. You get rid of that and make it just like a 20-yard catch, and he gets tackled. We're talking different. I mean, yeah, maybe Mostert still finishes with more points this week, but I think Eckler's gonna still be the guy you want there, because Mostert's gonna be in a much more crowded backfield. Although Kelly looked good today, man, I'm not gonna lie. So he's gonna get more involved. I think Justin Jackson got hurt. We didn't mention that. But anyway, my big takeaway from this game to finish things up here is the Cardinals' big three all showed up, man. Murray played well overall, at least for fantasy. Drake did well, got in the end zone. Struggled on the ground game in general. You're going to do that against the 49ers, but got in the end zone, figured it out. And D-Hop, everybody's like, oh, D-Hop's not going to make it work in Arizona, and especially, he's got this first game against the 49ers, just fade him. He's like 151 yards or something like that today. I don't have the stat line right in front of me because my computer wants to freeze up when I do these live streams, but it was a monster stat line for him. So, yeah, D-Hop is the man, dude. Like, never doubt D-Hop. So I got him fairly late for where I thought he should have gone in the Fantasy Six-Pack League that I've talked about already on this show. And I'm happy for it. So anyway, sorry about that. Yeah. So thoughts on this game at all to close it out?
I mean, moral of the story for this is I love that Cardinals offense. Yeah. I love them in the second half last year. And then you throw Hopkins in there, who I would say is right on par with Michael Thomas as far as, best receiver in football. This offense is going to be fun. And it's kind of almost like an Atlanta situation where, they have good weapons on offense and they have a shitty defense. So that just kind of
pretty much,
that kind of boosts their value even more, because they're going to be playing in higher scoring games. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this Cardinals offense can do. I think it's going to be a big year in Arizona.
I don't disagree. I've had those guys as heavy targets of mine all season since July. So, all right, guys, that's all we've got. I hope you'd enjoy it. We're going to do it every week. Hopefully every week, unless something comes up. But every week, yeah, it's touting the fancy six-pack shirts. We sent those out. to all the staff, so they are enjoying them. I'm not wearing mine tonight. I've worn it a few too many times this week. So, but yeah, we're gonna do this every time this week, halftime around the Sunday night or around halftime of the Sunday night football game, and kind of bleed into the third quarter of the show. So you guys can listen to us while you're watching and enjoy it. And we will check you all out next week. See y'all later.